On Tuesday mornings, I spend a 30-minute period of time with a group from Corehaven in the Coracle, the organization that's led by Bill Haley. It's a time that's called Space for God. And every Tuesday morning, someone curates that space, and it's an opportunity for participants to engage with God however God chooses to encounter us. This past Tuesday, Ann Boding was leading the reflection, and she presented us with this image. I asked her where she got it. She wasn't even sure. She's not sure of the artist who created it. But I found this image particularly striking this week. I'm calling it the rest of Christmas. The rest of Christmas. Think about Mary and Joseph and the infant Jesus. What an incredibly challenging 9 months they had. Joseph and Mary planning a wedding, an unexpected pregnancy, an angelic visitation, a decree from the Roman emperor to go to one's hometown. There was a census, and Mary and Joseph had to travel from Galilee to the city of David called Bethlehem. Best case scenario, Mary was on the back of a donkey. Worst case scenario, she walked the entire way. What a 9 months. And then to not find any place to have this child but a stable. And to go through the labor and delivery to bring the Savior of the world into the world. It's no wonder that Mary and Joseph and Jesus are sound asleep. They're resting from all of the things that had happened in the past months. They were exhausted. And little did they really know all that would come in the days and weeks and months and years ahead. At some point soon after this rest, Magi from the east would come. They would have to flee and go to Egypt to avoid the oppression and the brutal genocide that Herod initiated in Bethlehem, and all that life would bring to this holy family in the years to come. I think they're asleep. Maybe Mary isn't asleep. Maybe this is Mary pondering up all these things in her heart, treasuring them, as the gospel writer Luke tells us. This, in my mind, is the rest of Christmas. This moment of peace, of serenity, of quietness and stillness. I think this is what most of us need. We need the rest of Christmas. We've been through an incredibly difficult 9 months at both a macro level and a micro level. Think of all that's transpired in our world over these past 9 months. The coronavirus, over 300,000 deaths in our country alone. Economic troubles, a vicious, contentious election. struggling in our own life, with our jobs, our relationships, our health. This has been difficult. And this picture for me, God is saying, Terry, rest. I know what's happened. I know what's coming down the pike. But in this moment, in this season, in this Christmas time, rest in me. Be still and know that I am God. I've brought peace and love and joy into the world. And yes, in this world, you will have trouble. But when you awaken, Terry, to the wonder of God with us, then, here, and now, you too can have peace. Yes, there's been hardship over these past 9 months. But as well this week, I've reflected on some of the things that I am so grateful for. You know, on Christmas Day, I had a meal with my daughter, who over these past months has battled cancer. And by God's grace and through the prayers of God's people and wonderful medical care, we're hoping and trusting that she's going to be cancer-free and be able to move forward with her life. We're grateful for that. On Christmas Day, I held my granddaughter, Penelope. And so many of you have prayed for her and for Ann and Sam and our family. And what a joy to just hold that little child who has gone through so much in her 4.5 months of life. There was a peace in my soul, in my spirit, a deep sense of joy that on this Christmas Day and this Christmas season, I could hold this little girl. Where have you found the rest of Christmas? What gifts of peace and joy and love has God brought to you in the midst of these challenging times? Maybe you know what's coming down the pike and you're anxious about it. Don't worry about that for now. Rest. Maybe you have no idea what's coming down the pike and you're anxious about that. Don't worry about that. Rest. Christ is present with you and with me and with us. This little child asleep in the arms of his mother. What a gift to the world. I'm so grateful for the presence of Christ. Christ has held us together as a community of faith. Even through all of these months, we continue to show up week after week after week in this crazy digital Zoom sanctuary. And we meet with God and we meet with one another. And we know that in our scattered lives, God is at work in us, with us, and through us, inviting us to partner with Christ to make the world more and more and more and more like God intends it to be. Be still. Know that God is God and we are not. God calls us this day into the rest of Christmas.